Hey, everybody, and welcome back to class. Happy Thursday. I'm hoping that by now you're ready to finish up your story, or who knows, maybe you've even finished up your story and you're feeling pretty good and thinking about what's next. Today, what I'd like to talk with you about is the ending, like how to end your story. Because have you guys ever had that experience where you like finish a book or finish watching a movie and you're like, oh, that was so bad? And you just feel like you've wasted your time? Not a lot of fun. And I'm going to guess that you don't really want your readers to get to the point where they finish your story and they're like, oh, so bad. I just wasted my time. So today, the big teaching point I want to make for you is that writers take time to really consider their endings and try on different endings and decide which one's best. As they do that, there are three things that they're probably going to consider. These are three principles for endings that you're going to want to think about as you consider your ending. First of all, writers pay attention to the structure of the story and make sure that their ending fits. Because if you get to the end and the ending's kind of like, what? It doesn't really work. Think of it this way. When you were little, like kindergarten, first grade, you probably got to the end of your stories and you were like, the end. You wrote it in big capital letters, right? Then you got a little bit older and all of a sudden you had this great story going and then you were like, and then I woke up. Or some magical creature swooped in from one side and like saved the day, right? But you guys are older now and you know that, at least in real life, that doesn't happen. In real life, nobody steps in at the very end and saves the day. And we don't usually just wake up. Instead, what happens is we make decisions and we make choices. And often those choices and decisions are really small. So we need to think about that in our own stories as well. So as you think about that, you're going to want to think, has my character changed? And have I shown that? Probably not a big change because little changes are what add up to the big change. And secondly, has the plot developed? Like, has something actually happened? If not, might not be the most interesting story. Secondly, writers ensure that loose ends are tied up. You know, if something came up earlier on, you want to make sure that finishes. Like, don't leave your readers hanging. That's not a lot of fun. Yeah, cliffhangers are fun, but they're not necessarily as much fun for the reader. You don't want to just say, to be continued. You really need to work to find a way to wrap up what's going on, or at least to give enough clues that when the reader finishes it, like in Vampire Box, they can argue for what happens next. And finally, writers keep in mind what the story is really about. Like, what are you really trying to communicate, and have you shown that? Not said it. Do not tell us. Have you shown it through a decision or an action? Now, to see what that looks like, what I'd like us to look at actually is a scene from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. As most of you probably know, this is the first movie in the series, first book in the series. And in the beginning, Harry lives with his aunt and uncle. They're not very nice to him. It's not the happiest time in his life. But he gets taken away to Hogwarts. He makes friends. He fights battles with Voldemort. And in the very end, well, let's see what happens in the very end. And as we watch it, when you pay attention to these three principles, can you see how Harry has changed or others have changed? And can you see how the plot has developed? Are loose ends tied up? And does it show us what the story is really about? Let's look at it and see how it goes.